recognizing that the conditioning is not you. You are the consciousness or the awareness underlying the conditioning. That's waking up. And in any situation, whether it's negative or positive, you'll recognize that the conditioning responds, how it responds, and you can be aware of the conditioning and how it responds. And you will remain the witness of the conditioning, which wakes you up out of being completely identified with the conditioning. Waking up means to recognize that there's a certain kind of programming that our minds have here on this planet. From the moment you're born, a lot of it isn't absorbed as a baby, but soon you begin to learn your name, learn what is this called, learn what is that called, and the conditioning or the program begins there. About 3 or 4, when you begin to be able to say small little words, small little sentences. And then you go on to your adolescence and teenagehood and everything else, become an adult. And if you never recognize the programming in which we use, it's very good to use, but to be completely identified by it and to derive your sense of self from what your mind says and what you've been conditioned to believe, is ultimately what we call putting you to sleep, because you never really know the actual essence of who you are. So waking up out of that would ultimately be becoming more aware of your sense perception, becoming more aware of your thought process, and not completely being involved or engulfed in it, being ran by the programming of the mind, or being ran by the conditioning of the mind. Waking up out of that is being able to see that there's a program, there's a conditioning of the mind. How does this help throughout your life? Waking up out of the programmed stream of thinking that is from thousands of years of past that we have as human beings. It helps because when situations happen, let's say a negative situation occurs, your programmer will say something about that situation, and it'll say something about you because you're involved in that situation. But are you the situation, or are you the awareness of the situation? If you are the awareness of the situation, which is the awareness that allows you to be, without the awareness or the consciousness that you are, there couldn't be any awareness of any situation because there's nothing there. So recognizing that and not being, you won't be completely pulled along by whatever situation. You won't become angry and disappointed when things don't go your way. You won't be diminished if someone calls you out of your name, because you recognize that if you are pulled along, you recognize you may at that point, okay, someone says something to you, you idiot, or whatever. You recognize that it is not you that is responding, it is the conditioning that is responding to the person there. So recognizing that the conditioning is not you. You are the consciousness or the awareness underlying the conditioning. That's waking up. And in any situation, whether it's negative or positive, you'll recognize that the conditioning responds, how it responds, And you can be aware of the conditioning and how it responds. And you will remain the witness of the conditioning, which wakes you up out of being completely identified with the conditioning or the program. Nothing wrong. We have a lot of wonderful things that we've created through using the programming of our mind. But on the other hand, when we have these situations that come up with people who are completely unaware that their mind is not who they are ultimately, and do the most horrific things. So waking up out of that complete conditioned state of mind or way of thinking leaves you more at ease and gentle towards situations, because you recognize that the conditioning is playing itself out and has nothing to do with the presence, the consciousness that you are. Thank you. Thank you for joining me here on YouTube. I always appreciate your presence.